everyone. Welcome to the program. This is Sunday Politics live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimbale in Abuja. Let's tell you that President Muhammadu Buhari has departed New York in the United States, where he was attending the United Nations General Assembly meeting, ONGA, and he will be returning to Nigeria. One of his social media aides, Bashir Ahmed, made this public on its Twitter handle. Since President Buhari, early in the week, delivered a national statement on the second day of the general debate. And aside his statement, the president also participated in high-level meetings and side events. He also held strategic bilateral meetings with world leaders, renowned investors, and heads of multinational organizations while in New York. That could well be President Muhammadu Buhari's last ONGA meeting as Nigeria's president. The ruling All Progressives Congress APC over the weekend released the list of its presidential campaign council. The different departments and groups are meant to help the party organize and mobilize for its campaigns ahead of the resumption of the start of campaigns, which start in 1 week. There are a few omissions and additions that are deemed as error. But tonight, we get some clarifications from the official spokesperson of the Presidential Campaign Organization and a senior advocate of Nigeria, a Minister of State for Labor, Mr. Festus Keyamo, who joins us now. We'll get to him in a moment. But earlier in the week, we reported that the Nigerian northern leaders and the governors have come to an agreement on the manner in which security should be handled in this country, especially when we talk about state policing. There's been a lot of troubles as far as security is concerned in that region. Banditry and killings of innocent citizens have gone on for several years. But how will this be tackled? Now, the understanding between the northern leaders and the governors, what does this mean for the northern region and the nation at large? I'm being joined one of the leaders of the northern region of the country, Dr. Akim Baba Ahmed. He joins us live here in our Abuja studio. Thank you so much, Doc, for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me.
It was reported that the northern leaders and the governors have come to an agreement that state policing is a way. Give us an understanding of this position and perhaps some of what was considered before coming to this point.
Thank you. Well, the first thing I think you would notice is that the position of the northern traditional rulers and the governors came in a little bit late. It's one of the last voices to be heard in this area. There has been until now a near universal consensus that the nation does require subnational police systems. The traditional rulers and the governors took considerable amount of time to study the situation because it was important to avoid a number of errors. First, a matter of this importance should not be handled as a knee-jerk reaction. And two, it should not be a reaction against somebody's reaction. The North needed to study this issue about state policing, both in its context and in terms of its place in the demand for restructuring the country and readdressing issues about our coexistence as a federation. That is important. That's why it took so long. I think that the final decision taken to support the call for policing is the right one. It addresses a fundamental failure of the Nigerian state to secure citizens. Under the circumstances, it's the only meaningful solution, but it's contextualized in a number of very important issues. Policing is a fundamental governance service institution. And you don't toy around with policing. We've seen states that are in the forefront of the demand for policing, and we understand that it has been substantially a reaction to immediate issues. You want to avoid major constitutional amendments around something like policing because of one or two issues that are transitory. Political, transitory. Even events that can be handled if you had a firmer political leadership, if you had a stronger leadership, hardest farmers' clashes, some governors who are playing to populist sentiments. These are not grounds to amend the Constitution and create things like policing. If we have to have state policing, it must be informed by a more fundamental considerations. For instance, what kind of country do we need? If you have state policing, you are likely to end up with 37 different police formations. You have a federal police, 36 police formations. Who's establishing the standards? Who's establishing professionalism? What is their scope? Are they all going to have the same remit, the same scope, the same responsibilities? Are they going to be informed by different considerations? Then there's a more worrying issue. Governors are going to have overwhelming influence on them. And you can see the evidence on the ground. Our democratic process has created monsters. I don't mean the monsters in the sense that it is, but the democratic process in Nigeria has produced governors that have virtually become the embodiment of everything in the country. And those who express worry about what governors would do are justified in worrying about the long-term effect of having policing under them, even if it is limited in terms of its scope and its impact. On the other hand, you cannot fault the argument that the current arrangement where there's only one federal police has failed woefully. Nigeria is one of the very few federal systems in the world, very few, that have only one police system. Most federal systems in the world have the federal state, federal and police and police from the federating units. Nigeria is one of the very few, though. Yeah. Then there's the fundamental question. Have we interrogated the presidential system of government yet? There's a huge opinion that is, and yet unexpressed, that says, why don't you just put the entire Nigerian system on the table and find out what is wrong and why it's wrong and what's right, what can work, what you need to change. Why aren't we asking whether the presidential system is the wrong system to run?
You think it's wrong?
Well, there is a school of thought that says we run the parliamentary system for 5 years, under independent Nigeria, from 1960 to 1966. Yeah. We never went back to it. We never knew whether it would work. The military created the presidential system because it was the mirror image
You
of the
were
military.
very much here at the time. I wasn't. So you probably will know whether, in comparison to what worked at that time, I understand how that works. I know how that system works. I know the tenets of the parliamentary system of government. But in reality, in comparison to the presidential system, which do you think favors the Nigerian complexity more?
I think that, let me answer your question this way. We have not interrogated both systems sufficiently, and we should.
Do you think the presidential system has failed?
The presidential system is, no, I think it's shown all its weaknesses enough for us to actually say it's time to examine whether it's serving our interests.
But can
it creates very powerful figures, presidents and governors. Huge amounts of power and responsibility and resources are centered around individuals. If you get the wrong people, they abuse these powers. You end up with a democratic system like ours, which shrinks around people who are in government. And it doesn't work for the people.
If you want to build a great nation, you don't need big people, but you need good systems.
You need good systems, you need good institutions, you need to devolve power and responsibility so that the ordinary citizen can actually have some influence over what happens. The presidential system that we have run, it's not the same all over the world, but the one we have run has essentially created a lot of very powerful, very strong people. Governors, look at what's going on now. Listen, talk to political parties. Some of them will tell you, a governor says, don't come and campaign in my state. You have to ask, with all due respect to the governors, and I have to be careful here about my language, but who told you it's your state? There is a constitution that says people should campaign wherever they are. wherever they choose, so long as they do not break any law. But governors can actually decide whether campaigning, which is central to the 2023 elections, takes place under a free atmosphere. Governors control the entire resources available to their states. They decide whatever happens in their states. That is not the intention. The president of Nigeria is one of the most powerful leaders anywhere in the world. He's created by a constitution that created the presidential system of government that gives him awful amount of powers. So it's time to examine this. We can only do this, however, not in this rather excited and troublesome environment. We want to debate state policing, federal systems, presidential system. It has to be something that has to take place after the elections by a government. It should commit now.
All right. Let's take a quick break. There are a few issues that we need to interrogate. There is a Hisba in Kano State. There is the vigilante groups. I mean, call it a proliferation of local tendencies of security outfits that's created by each state government. And you cannot blame them because they needed to set this up to protect themselves. The governors are taking their own initiative in protecting their own territories. How this is working? The governor of Ondo State, Governor Akeredolu, has questioned, brought up a constitutional issue, whether or not the Amotekun can bear arms. And he said he will make them bear arms. I'll get your views and how the Northwest region, the Northern region generally, can better protect itself. They have very interesting figures about fatalities, which the Northern region has a huge part of it in August. We'll take a break, everyone, and when we come back, our conversation on national security continues. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. Dr. Hakim Ahmed is a spokesperson of the Northern Elders Forum. He's been speaking with us, and we're focusing on security of Nigeria. It's critical at this point because elections, campaigns are almost here, and those who question the security situation in the country, whether or not we're able to go into campaigns or election as we are right now. Thank you so much, Dr. Mohammed, for your time tonight. So I was asking you about the powers of the governors. There is Hisba in Kano, there is Amotekun in the southwest region, and there is Ibubu in the southeast region. It does look like the governors are taking responsibilities of what happens in their territory because the federal, the national security system seems to have failed at some point. And if you look at it critically, you see that some governors are already taking the battle a step further, saying we've set up these local outfits and these local networks, but they're not able to effectively police. They will still need to bear arms. The governor of Zamfara said as much. This governor of Benue State said the latest was the governor of Ondo State, who says he will arm the Amotekun security outfit. Let me get your view on that position of some of these governors. Do you think that these local outfits should bear arms?
No, first of all, why don't we ask, what's causing all this creation of state policies, different types, the
local policies, yeah.
First, you need to understand that there is a failure of policing as an instrument of governance. The Nigeria police has woefully failed to exercise its responsibilities. The vacuum, however, is being exploited by governors who are creating outfits and arming them, some of them, and equipping them and giving them powers, policing powers, under laws created by them that fundamentally ought to have been a challenge by the federal government in the first place. That's the first thing. I think the federal government has failed in two areas. Its policing has failed, collapsed, literally. There's no policing as an institution in this country. There's very little of it. What the governors are creating are outfits that serve their interests. Their standing in law is questionable. The fact that the center is weak, cannot question them, cannot call them to order, is very dangerous because it means that you can create an outfit and give them and decide how much power they should have. The debate, the argument between the governor and the man is very interesting. The Ondo State governor, he says, look, in Katsina State, they are arming people. And who would stop me? I will arm people. I would arm Amotiku. And I want to see who will stop me. Now, these are governors, people sworn to protect the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The governor of Ondo State is a very senior lawyer. You would think.
Can you blame him?
No, I'm saying that there is a vacuum which has been exploited by people who should protect the Constitution. Nobody is protecting the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Not the federal government, because it is failing in its duty to provide an effective police system that will obviate the need for governors to play to galleries, because they are playing to galleries. Because
I'm asking who will blame him, because he's sworn to protect his own people.
Yes.
And when it looks like it cannot, with the system that is in place, don't you think he needs to think outside the box?
What we need to ask is he protecting his people, or is he just simply playing to a gallery? How do you protect the citizens of Ondo State with a police, an outfit that has no powers to bear arms under the law of the country? They don't have the powers to do that. Now he says, I don't care about the law. I would arm my people because I need to protect my people. Basically, that's what he's saying. Otherwise, it shouldn't be difficult. This is not rocket science.
It's not a first person saying that it will arm the security outfit.
I understand.
The governor of Benue said so.
Yes, it doesn't make it legal. I'm saying that if all the governors decide to pursue an illegality, it still doesn't make it legal. It means all of them are violating the law. Maybe there is some room in the legal system and in the Constitution that says you can do a Hizbah, you can do a Moteku, you can do the Agbebu, whatever it's called, but don't arm them. That one is very clear. The law is very explicit.
How do you think it's best to defend one's own territory against an opposition that is heavily armed, and when the state is not able to do that for you?
Yeah, exactly. Now we're back to the point I raised. The issue of state police must be put in the context of a wider issue. There ought to be a major national review of what we need to perform basic functions of policing and law and order responsibilities of the state. Should it be everybody for himself? Should governors decide and design policing the way they want it? Or should we reinvent, recreate, and reinforce the federal police? Or should we have both? These are all options. Some states can have state police. If they choose to operate only under federal police, they can do so. But is that the only answer? Do you think this country can tolerate 37 different police outfits? If you say yes, then you have to answer a number of questions. Who's setting the standard for these policies? Who's determining the scope and the responsibilities that they have? Who should call them to order? How do they relate with the wider police? In the US, for instance, state police have responsibilities for certain crimes and certain responsibilities. Federal police have powers and responsibilities for particular types of crimes. Basic law and order issues are left to federating units. There are a lot of federal systems that we should look at and benefit from. But what you're seeing in Nigeria are knee-jerk reactions and responses from governors who are simply playing to a gallery. And what we need, and again, I emphasize this, we need to go back to whose responsibility it is to secure citizens. It's a failure of the federal government. It owns the police. It's responsible for policing.
Elections are around the corner. And there will be campaigns will start in another week. So we will come to the question of people will make promises. And I think that also the citizens need to set the right tone of the kind of conversation that should be held during the campaigns. What matter to them? What are the agenda that citizens, or what the things that matter to them? Because if your child is going to resume school, the child will tell you, these are the things that I need to succeed. So the citizens of Nigeria needs to be telling the political class, these are the things that we need to succeed as a people. And I think that security should be topmost. We should be asking critical questions of politicians, isn't it, about how they hope to secure this country. Are you opposed, or what do you think of those who think that restructuring is a way to go? And there are those who also debate that Restructuring means different things to different people, depending on where they are sitting or where they're looking at it from. Now, in terms of securing this nation, what must be urgently done?
I'm glad you asked that question because 3 days ago, I attended a very important meeting in Kaduna involving 4 or 5 very important groups. The idea is to design a template that includes issues about security, economy, education, coexistence of Nigerian communities, and then interrogate our presidential candidates very seriously on their thinking in terms of what they plan to do. This is very important. This time, I don't know what the other parts of the country are doing, but the North is not just going to vote for any candidate unless we are satisfied that he has done some serious thinking in terms of what to do about this country.
That's a consensus.
In the North, yes. Absolutely.
As they're not agreed on the issues they're looking forward to,
well,
the kind of candidate
we have ideas about what the next president should look like, what is important for the next administration.
And what are these issues?
Well, first of all, we need to resecure the country. Absolutely resecure the country. Secondly, we need to ask basic questions about why the economy is failing and what they intend to do about it. Then we want to ask about what their plans are or their thinking is in terms of all this clamor that we must change this, we must structure this, what they are their thinking. We have our own thinking. 4, we want to ask what their plans are for education, particularly out-of-school children in the northern part of the country. 34 million out-of-school children. What do you intend to do with it? And we would ask all presidential candidates who are willing to sit with us. And it is planned to be a very serious, hopefully very productive interrogation. And I'm telling you, it will be the basis on which the North will support a candidate.
So, I mean, does the North, does it matter where the candidate comes from?
Well, what he or she intends to do in terms of satisfying us that he has the mental capacity, the physical capacity, the intellect, the willingness to tap into the best and the brightest that is available, sensitivity to a number of key issues that are central to our survival as a country. Those things are going to represent for us the basis upon which we can.
So it doesn't matter which region of the country such a person comes from?
At this stage, our options are open. Our options are open. We would not vote on narrow prisms like where you come from.
So the northern elites have considered on that?
Well, there's nothing to, there was never to concede or not to concede in the first place.
There are those who,
Northern Elders Forum. I can speak for Northern Elders Forum.
Yeah.
I can speak for the Northern Elders Forum. We have never said we will not support, we would only support a Northern candidate. What we said is we will defend the rights of Northerners to compete freely and equally with others. We will support a Northerner if we think he's the best, and we don't need to apologize for that at all. We will support a Southerner if we believe that he's the best that can do service, do justice to the interests of the North as well as the interests of other parts of the country. That has always been our position. It hasn't changed. What is important to emphasize here is that we're looking for the best that is available.
So you're looking at capacity above equity.
I don't know where equity comes into this. Equity, the issue of equity is settled. Parties have presented candidates. We're looking to choose which one out of all these candidates that is available represents for us the best for the future in the North. And like I said, we have identified a number of issues that we believe are central to our interests in the North. And to be honest with you, they are all interrelated. They are also central to the interests of everybody else in the country. We don't see the North in isolation. We see ourselves in relation to other Nigerians who live in this country. And every time we talk about issues that affect us, we see how they are so intimately linked with the interests of other parts of the country. So, but we are Northern. We look at the North, we speak North. And so at this stage, we ask, what do you plan to do about this insecurity, about our economy, about education, about out-of-school children, about coexistence, all this hate and all this anger that is in the country?
Have you been able to identify those who have those qualities that you have mentioned now?
Like I said, we've just identified a number of strategies for engagement. We've started, and we will put all the candidates that are willing, we'll put them through a very, very rigorous process. We have to do this. When in 2015, we supported President Buhari, before and after. Before and after. We want to see how much of our interests you would go out in public and say you would commit to. We can give you, give you input.
You'll give them the terms.
Those interactions will be useful to candidates because they will represent an agenda, not the agenda, an agenda of the North. Hopefully they can use it. If there is coincidence in terms of thinking between them and us, fine. They can then take it to the rallies and they can use them in their policy papers. If they can convince us that they have ideas that are different from ours, that are better, we would look at them on their own merit and support them.
The Northern Elders Forum supported Buhari in 2015, right?
Yes.
Who did he support in 2019? Was the same Buhari?
No, we campaigned against Buhari. We told Nigerians not to vote for Buhari in 2019 because the Buhari didn't do well in the fourth.
So you supported Atiku in 2019?
Well, obviously, he was the only option available.
Are you supporting Atiku again this time around?
No, we're not supporting anybody. We're going to support the best candidate that satisfies us, that he or he represents the best option for the North.
Does Peter Obi or Kwankwaso or Atiku,
we will put them through, we will put all those candidates through a very rigorous process, if they are willing. And they had better be willing because, believe me, I'm not saying this to impress anybody, but we carry a responsibility on our shoulders to advise a lot of people in the North where to go. And we will exercise that responsibility very seriously.
You think the North will vote in a bloc this time around?
The North has always voted in a bloc. Substantially, it's... let me say this. What we will not do is do what we did in 2015. Just simply say it must be, say Baba, say Baba, say Baba, and then we escort him to the villa. And we don't sit him down and say, please say Baba, sit down. What do you plan to do? We know you've said you will fix the economy, you will fix security. I mean, yes, and you will fix Boko Haram. But please, sir, can you be a bit more detailed? The North, under Jonathan, was facing a lot of problems. He got away with it in 2015. 2019, we campaigned against him, this time saying he has failed in the first time, don't give him another chance. And well, for whatever reason, he got back in. And look at where the country is. We're not going to commit that mistake again. This time, the North will interrogate every one of those candidates.
So it's not as if you rejected the APC, it was Buhari you rejected?
When? In 2019. Well, obviously, if you rejected Buhari, you rejected the APC.
So is there a possibility, is there another chance for Buhari's party, the APC, in 2023?
If it's Tinubu who is on that platform, if Tinubu convinces us, and we in turn engage other people to say, we believe that Tinubu represents the best option, we would support him.
All right. Stay with me for a moment, Dr. Okimba Ahmed. Let me reconnect with my outfield guest, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Festus Keyamo, and the official spokesperson of the APC Presidential Campaign Council, who joins us now via satellite. Thank you so much, Mr. Keyamo, for your time. I don't know if the connection is perfect now, but let's begin with the fact that your party released the list of your campaign council. That is to help you get your campaign started. Give us an understanding. You've been making giving explanation that is on some of the exclusions that are obvious in your campaign council. You have also had some inclusion that are not even members of your party. There are errors here and there, isn't it? Pardon me? I said, you've been giving explanations as to some of the exclusions on the list of your campaign council. For example, there is an inclusion from another political party. It looks like there are a few errors on your campaign council, isn't it?
What are the errors?
Senator Nnamani, the former governor of Enugu, said who appeared on your campaign council. Is it an error or was it deliberate?
Well, all I can tell you now is that there has been no refutal from the part of Senator Nnamani. That should be, the refutal should come from that end, not from us.
So, I mean, clarify it for us because it's a bit confusing. If Nigerians think that Senator Nnamani is an APC, is a PDP member, but is on your campaign council, give us an understanding, since you speak for the campaign organization, whether or not that was deliberate, it was intentional, or was it an error?
Campaigning for a political party on which platform you wish to contest an office is a choice. It's not a legal problem. It's a matter of the internal rules of that political party. So we'll leave that political party to deal with it according to its internal rules. But I can tell you, as a lawyer, I just look at the Constitution. That's all I look at, and the Electoral Act. There's no provision in the Electoral to the Constitution that says that, you know, you have to campaign for a presidential candidate of your party at all costs. You are in Nigeria. Don't forget that there's a fundamental right in, in our Constitution, to freely, associate with whoever you want to associate with. So if you associate with the party, you don't believe in any of his candidates, and you want to campaign for the candidates of another party in respect of a particular office, I think that is an issue that that other party should deal with. We will not deal with that, but like I tell you, his name appeared on our list. Up till now, there is no refutal on the other side. The refutal should come from the other side.
Give us an understanding of the obvious exclusion of the likes of the former Speaker of the House, Yakubu Dogara, and former SGF Babache Lawa. You've been explaining the reason for Professor Yemi Oshibajo in a statement. If you want to mention it, please go ahead.
All members of a political party must not be members of the campaign council. It's just a fact. It's just that by tradition, you try to include every body who has been anything in the party. So it's just a fact that not all members of a political party may like to be part of the campaign council. They may want to play some other roles.
So the reason for this question is not far-fetched. These are perhaps two persons who are obviously publicly come to say they do not agree with the pairing of Bola Tinubu and Kashim Shettima. They've said that it offends the sensibilities of some section of the northern region of the country and some section of the faith that some members of your party hold. And when they are excluded from the campaign council, considering the kind of position they held, and those who have held similar positions who have found themselves on that campaign council, then the questions are being raised by the public whether or not these people have been excised out of the system, or whether or not you're done away with them.
The party has not done away with anybody. The party has respected the right of everybody within the party to express his or her views. We don't, deprive people in our party from expressing their views. So these individuals, as I speak with you, they don't represent, as it is today, a particular structure of the party. When you are talking about such things as campaign council, you talk about the structures of the party, whether all the structures of the party are adequately represented or consulted in constituting the council. The fact that you were past this or past that, of course, shows that you are well respected at one point or the other. You represented the party, or the government at some level. But as it is today, parties deal with structures. People who are in positions that represent certain structures of the party, not individuals. These individuals we talked about, while they are very much respected, one of them was even my former classmate, it does not mean now that they represent a bloc. There's nothing called the Christian bloc or Northern Christian bloc in APC's constitution. There's nothing like that. I am not aware that the party convened a structure of the party called the Northern Christian bloc and appointed certain persons to speak for them. The DG of our campaign is a Northern Christian. So how does it belong to that bloc, a bloc that has prevented him from doing what he's doing? These are individuals who we respect their views. They're expressing their personal views. I don't see any furore over this. They are expressing their personal views. But how much they carry people along, or how many people believe in their views, will be seen when we go to the ballot box.
Now, it does look like this faith issue is haunting your party. The first, at the presentation of your vice presidential candidate, those who are of the Christian faith that appeared there were being questioned. Their membership of the class in which they profess were being questioned. Again, the meeting of your presidential candidate with those who were called the Pentecostal Bishop Forum have been now questioned. The Christian Association of Nigeria has come out to deny their alliance or their relationship with your presidential candidate. The Pentecostal Fellowship of Nigeria, PFN, has also publicly come to deny. They said they do not have anything to do with their association with your presidential candidate or your party. How would you react to this?
Well, first of all, I reject those subliminal messages you pass. I didn't want to interrupt you when you say a certain decision or same-faith is haunting our party. Those are languages that the press use, that you use to pass messages across to Nigeria. Whereas the haunting you are talking about is in the minds of certain persons. When did you test the public? Are you INEC, or who went to the field to test the gauge or test the pulse of Nigerians? Whether it is haunting my party or not will be seen during the ballot, when we go to the ballot. But when you use such language, you are passing a message in a subliminal way to Nigerians. As if at times, this is just a creation of the press. I can assure you it's a creation of the press sometimes. Some of this hype. Because on the field, we have Northern Christians who held various positions within the party, who are passionately supporting the party, who are part of the campaign council as I speak with you, the list that has not been released. Why have they not rejected it? Who has appointed anybody to speak on their behalf? Is PFN a member of, are they members of APC? Or is there a structure of APC? Picking a vice presidential candidate within a party is a decision of our candidate, perhaps in consultation with the party leaders. So it's an internal party decision. So these external bodies are not part of our political party. If they wanted to take part in the decision-making process, they can as well come and join the political party. But they cannot stay outside and dictate to us how to conduct our affairs. If it were so offensive to certain persons, then of course there's no need raising all of this noise. They have options. In the past, there has been Muslim tickets in this country. Before, there was no such noise. The Action Congress of Nigeria fielded a Muslim ticket in 2011. So sometimes these issues are issues that are just over-trumpeted by the press.
Okay,
hold on. Can I just say this? Can I say this? Let me give one example. If it is a fact that, well, you have to pick Christians in certain positions in the country for them to vote for you, right? The two secretaries of the government of the Federation, two of them, they come from predominantly Christian communities in Adamawa State, both of them from the same area. And they were given 2 SGFs, 2. In the last election, we lost in those communities. We lost. The APC lost. That's why the fact that from that community you had 2 SGF. If that is a factor. So it's just to let you know that some of these things, religion does not matter in some areas in the north. It doesn't matter. They just want to vote for who they want to vote for.
Leonard Sik, have you landed on that thought? So let me follow up on it.
Yes.
So I use the word hunt, yes. And that word is in fact perfect for the question I asked you. And the dictionary meaning of that word is simple. Something that has frequently happened on the same matter. It has different meaning, but the word frequency is very, very consistent in the definition of the word hunt. And I meant it that it's haunted party.
You are not
in the sense that
you are not hold on now.
Just a moment, if I may ask.
You are not the accuser, the prosecutor, and the judge.
You are blaming the press.
You are the judge of your own self.
That happens to your party. When these guys are...
You are the judge of yourself.
I'm not judging you. I've never used the word to judge you.
So just ask questions. You are spending time justifying what you said.
Let me ask the question, please. And the question, simple,
yes, go ahead.
Is that I use the word hunt. Hunt is a perfect word for the question I asked you. This has consistently happened.
You are the judge of your own self. Don't justify what you have done.
I'm not justifying. I'm just trying to...
Hey, but you are justifying it. You can't be the judge of your own cause.
So that the way and manner you portrayed it...
You cannot educate me on it. You cannot educate me on it. You cannot. You cannot.
I didn't say I educated you. It is the press
that is making a lot of noise out of this. I am standing my ground that it is the press that is hunting. It is not the people of Nigeria.
You blame the press.
That is the point I'm making.
What we report. But let me ask my question, Leonard Sik.
Yes.
And the question is simple. Yes. This thing has frequently come up. And I'm asking, what do you make of it?
It is by the press.
How do you convince...
By the press, not the Nigerian people.
How do you convince Nigerians and those people of that faith about what has happened consistently? And when people in your party meet with these people of this faith, there are questions. Why does it keep happening?
It is the press that is asking those questions. That's the point I'm making.
The press statement that came from the PFN today is being reported by the press.
Yes.
The press did not originate that press statement that came from PFN.
The PFN, they are not members of our party. They are not.
But they are Nigerians. They are asking the questions.
Yeah, so they should go and vote. So that day they should vote. They should not be coming to question the decision of our party publicly. The purpose of pastors, we have said so before, why we respect them so much. We respect them so much. Their duty is to lead people to heaven, not to lead people to villa. They are not called by God to lead people to heaven. If I go to church every Sunday, I want to hear the sermon of God. I don't want to hear the sermon of politics or who should rule me. I want to hear the sermon of God and what will lead me to salvation, not what will lead me to the villa.
Now, let me pose this question also to you. You have decided to come on a weekly basis to give an update in which you say that you are going to be bold in your approach to these issues. Give us an understanding of the ramifications and the style of campaign that the APC hopes to put forward. Now, for the first time, President Muhammadu Buhari will not be on the ballot. The ramifications are going to change. Your style of campaign might also be altered because your audiences are also going to vary. There will be a lot, thousands of first-time voters. What would you be telling them?
Thank you very much. These are the kind of questions we want to see, the issues we want to relate on, not Muslim tickets.
You want to determine the kind of questions you want to be asked.
You can see that I'm smiling now. You can see I'm smiling because you are coming to the issues. Because
Nigerians will determine the kind of question they will ask politicians in this game. We will lead the game by letting Nigerians have the conversations that are very vital to them.
Nigerians are hungry. Nigerians are hungry. They want to see how that hunger will be addressed. Not how their Christian faith or Muslim faith will be addressed. They want to see our policy on agriculture. They want to see what Asiwaju has done before as governor of Lagos State, how he improved Lagos, and how he will bring that kind of dexterity to Nigeria as a whole. That is what they want to see. So you are coming to the question I expect you to ask now. How do we want to run the country? What do we want to tell Nigerians? There are two things, crucial things we want to tell Nigerians. One, the person of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu has done it before in a territory that can be said to be the microcosm of Nigeria. There's nowhere within the Federal Republic of Nigeria that has the character, the shape of the entire country as much as Lagos. Lagos is a melting pot for the entire tribes, tongues, faiths in Nigeria. And Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, either as governor first, till 2007, and as leader of the party since 2007 till now, he has managed all the multifaceted problems in Lagos State, either tribe, religion, ethnicity, in such a way that there has been peace in Lagos State. The peace that we take for granted. There are so many in other parts of the country, perhaps due to historical reasons or some other reasons, have not been well managed. So the peace we see in Lagos State between all the different tribes that live in Lagos State, the different religions, we take it for granted. But there has been a leadership in Lagos State, led by Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, that has managed this microcosm of Nigeria that you see in Lagos State so well in the last 23 years that he can bring that same template to the entire country. So that is the first thing we want to tell them about the person of Asiwaju. The second thing we want to tell them is that we have not done so. The platform upon which he runs now, apart from his person, Asiwaju, the platform upon which he runs has done so well in Lagos, first of all, because even people say, oh, we shouldn't campaign with Lagos. Lagos is also an APC state. PDP has never ruled Lagos since 2019, since, 1999, I mean. They have never ruled Lagos. So you can say clearly that Lagos State has been ruled by the APC, which was, of course, ACN transmuted to APC, has been ruled by one party. That's the point I want to make, since 1990, and that party has done very well. It is that same platform, that same party that has done so well in Lagos since 1999, upon which Asiwaju is running. And of course, we also say that if you come to the federal level, that same party, given all the circumstances that has happened and plagued the world in the last few years, the country is not the best, but we are not the worst, especially in Africa. We have done well in the context of what has happened in Africa in terms of its economy and other factors. Right. We have done very well. These are the things we are going to tell Nigeria. And for the younger ones, who don't know Asiwaju very well, they were not there when he was governor of Lagos State, we will be patient enough to explain to them thoroughly why they must vote for someone who has a track record than someone who had the opportunity to have a track record, but rather than rely on his track record, he relies on statistics rather than the track record. And not to vote for someone who has no track record at all. Another one who has no track record at all. All he relies upon is the track record of his boss when he was in office, and a boss that he subverted. He was belligerent, he disobeyed his boss throughout when he was in office, yet he wants to rely on the track record of that
I have two short questions
those are the choices before Nigeria.
I have two short questions quickly, and I'd like you to help me briefly just tackle them. The other question, the other part of my question was, for the first time, President Muhammadu Buhari will not be on the ballot. He commanded some votes. Historically, it's shown that. How much of effect would this have on your party?
Well, let me say that the structures that delivered the votes for Buhari in the north, don't forget that it is structures that deliver votes. Yes, Buhari had the street credibility, the integrity, and the popularity in the north, but it still depended on the structures. People who believed in him within the, at the grassroots level, who were either agents or governors or party leaders, as it were, to ensure that those votes were delivered. Those structures have not dissipated. They have not gone away. So we still have those structures to deliver those votes. I want to take you back to our primaries. It was those same structures in the north, led by the governors. All right. When certain persons wanted the party ticket to remain in the north, it was those same structures that said, no, take the ticket back to the south. We want Nigeria to be one Nigeria.
All right. The final question.
Compare that to what another party did, that the leadership was not bold enough to push their ticket to the south. Compare what we did and what the other party did. And Nigerians will see which party is ready to accommodate all interests within Nigeria.
Mr. Keyamo, on a final note, and this, I'd like you to also be brief. You seem to be a bit emotional when I asked the question earlier on, because, look, we report as journalists a reflection of the mirror of the society. But let me follow up and briefly, if you may, answer the question. Why wouldn't religion matter when mosques and churches are built by government institutions? We have them in the seat of government, at the airport, etc.
It is to respect their faith, but not on matters concerning governance. These are two different things, Shehu. The fact that we build churches and put churches in airports and all that is just to respect for people to practice their faith. It has nothing to do with governance. It has nothing to do with that. Governance is about delivering the dividends of democracy to Nigerians. That is what governance is all about. Would you rather? I said this. I made this example earlier when this campaign started. I said, why are pastors going to Dubai to go and take holidays and shop when it's a purely Muslim country? Why are pastors going there? And then why are Muslims on the other hand? Why are Muslims on the other hand going to America when it's a purely Christian country to make their holidays? It's either way. All they want is that they are chasing good life all over the world. And wherever there's good life, it doesn't matter which type of government is in those countries. Wherever things are working.
All right. So
wherever things are working, they go there for holidays and to shop.
Yeah, we need to close now, Mr. Keyamo, but I don't know if you heard what Dr. Akim Baba Ahmed says, that the Northern Elders Forum have decided that they will query, they will question, they will engage all those who want to lead this country, and those who do not have the interests of the North, they will not support. Just in 20 seconds, did you hear? Is your party and your candidate going to be listening to the Northern Elders Forum?
Akim Baba Ahmed and the Northern Governors Elders Forum, perfect gentlemen, extremely patriotic persons. We love them, and I have enormous respect for Akim Baba Ahmed. He's somebody I want to be like, However, I just want to say, make a statement of fact that they don't represent the North. They don't speak for the North.
All right.
Despite when they campaigned against Buhari in 2019, Buhari won resoundingly the North. Atiku lost. Atiku lost. He did not even get 10% of votes in certain parts of the North. It's just to show that they are very wise elders, but they don't control the streets. Right. We are talking about those who control the streets.
We need to leave it at that. Yeah. Thank you so much, Mr. Festus Keyamo, for your time tonight on the program. The official spokesperson of the Presidential Campaign Council of the APC, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, and Minister of State for Labour. Thank you so much, Mr. Keyamo. Before we close, finally, Dr. Akim Baba Ahmed, just in about 50 seconds, if you may react to some of the things that Festus Keyamo said.
I'm afraid I didn't hear much of that.
He said
Can I ask you what his last response was when
he said that the Northern Elders Forum does not represent the North. You opposed Buhari the last time, but Buhari won.
Yes, so if he thinks that we don't represent the North, and it means that Tinubu believes that he can win the North without the support of the groups, not just Northern Elders Forum. We are also combining with other friends. Fine, he's welcome. If this is the kind of attitude the APC would have in relation to the North, and they want to use our attitude, well-justifiable attitude towards Buhari as a failure, this is the kind of thing they want to sell to the North. I'm sorry for their campaign. They are going nowhere. And this is the kind of attitude that will lose them that election. It's the very wrong approach to adopt. If they want to adopt it, fine, they're welcome. I know there are other candidates that recognize the fact that Northern Elders Forum, SCF, other groups in the North have some influence, and they will respond to us. I will see whether Festus Keyamo can stop Tinubu from being engaged by us. If he does, that says a lot about Tinubu's
chances. It speaks about how much he respects. He said, in fact, he wants to be like you. But let's leave it at that. Thank you so much, Dr. Akim Baba Ahmed, for coming.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
And Mr. Festus Keyamo, who is the official spokesperson of the APC Presidential Campaign Council. Well, that's our program tonight. Thank you so much indeed, everyone, for joining. I'll see you again tomorrow at 7 p.m. Bye for now.